And well, let's just start here. Tiffany
Okay.
Vondran, real estate extraordinaire. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for coming. So, getting into what we were saying, I've got a U-Haul truck. Me and Tim were talking about that. I've got a U-Haul truck outside.
Mm-hmm.
I got to race home, and me and Lisa are leaving at 4 in the morning to do our first trip down to the new house.
Oh, okay.
So
Tomorrow
that's
morning at 4 a.m.
tomorrow morning at 4 a.m.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
this is, we'll probably end here. Let's say I get home at 6. So we've got to jam and fill up that truck. We're not even sure we're doing it in this trip yet.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so we've got a lot of that happening tonight. And in the interim, we're going to try to hear what happens with the Bears draft. I
Okay.
guess I just dated the video, didn't I? Nick says sometimes, he says sometimes the video shouldn't be timestamped.
Got it. So you can like continuously like use it.
I guess. But here's the reality, it's a big day in Chicago. The Chicago Bears are drafting #1 overall. And like the quarterback in the last 5 or 6 years, who they're saying is going to be the next Hall of Famer, is probably going to land on the Bears. And quarterback
Okay.
has been one of those positions for our team. And so Chicago's kind of a buzz. But sadly, I won't be watching. I'll be loading up a moving truck. And then the drive is maybe a 10, 12-hour drive.
Okay. I was just gonna ask how long.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you'll get there at like noon tomorrow.
Probably.
Yeah.
No, if I leave at 4 in the morning, 12-hour, probably more like 4 or 6, 4 at night, 6 at night, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
So
you're bringing your
yeah.
daughter with too?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say it's now a 16-hour trip.
And we rented so the
You gotta stop
U-Haul
for the
is just it's a
bathroom.
2-person. There's no power locks.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see. There's so much going on, Tiffany, that you know about, and it's just plug and play. Just do it. You know what I
You
mean?
have your daughter with you too?
No, I don't. That's what
No.
I'm saying. No,
Okay.
she's going to be with Lisa's sister.
Okay.
Yeah, Lisa's sister. So thank God for family. And so me and Lisa could do this. The house is still under construction.
Mhm.
They've done the framing, the demo work. We tore out the stairs. They have put the first coat of paint on, and they start doing floors or like lacing in weaving in the wood flooring where we ripped out tile.
Okay.
So I think we'll be ready to move in like maybe 30, 40 days.
Nice.
It's all happening really fast.
Did you do before and after pictures?
I do. I've got
Nice.
lots of before and after
That's
pictures.
good.
It looks like a different house.
Oh.
And one of the biggest concerns with the house was the sellers we were looking at the house, and I want to talk about Jerry a little bit later.
Okay.
For those that don't know, Nick, you might not even know this. Tiffany's the one that helped us find the house.
Oh, really? You
So-
connected him with an agent?
I
on
did,
that?
yeah.
How do you do that, by the way? Let me switch gears. How do you find somebody that's across the country like that?
So I was in a national coaching program, and so I have agents like network throughout the
Okay.
country, and then same thing with another networking group that I'm in. There are several different chapters in different markets. So whenever I have clients moving to or from another area, I'm able to connect
Well, it
my
was awesome.
clients.
Super easy for me.
But in that instance, I reached out to Nina, was able to help.
Okay. How did
Um,
Nina find it?
I think Nina's had worked with them before.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was through you.
Well, I asked Nina.
You should take credit.
Yeah.
Just take
I
credit
said
right now.
Nina-
It was your networking.
Well, you
group.
know how I like to write thank you notes. I wrote Nina a thank you note, like for
did?
for you, like looking out for me, helping me get a referral fee, and Nina for helping go the extra mile to look into it, and then also just knowing that you're taken care of. Also, instead of just like finding somebody online, it's somebody that I worked with or Nina worked with,
Yeah.
or it's through a network where you trust.
Well,
people.
what I thought was pretty cool is, so you referred us to probably like the managing, and I wanted to dig into that about you in a little bit, but is it the managing agent or the
I
managing?
think so, yeah. And then
The
she
managing partner,
connected.
and then she hooked us up with a young man by the name of Jerry,
Okay.
who was unbelievable. Right, we're buying houses in Tennessee from Chicago, and he'd give us a call and say, "Hey, Phil, we've got one that's coming on the market. I could probably get in there today. Do you want to do a quick video tour?"
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there were days around the holidays where we would literally do a Zoom call with him, and he'd have us right there. Me and Lisa would be shopping at the mall. In fact, when we first saw this house, Lisa's like, "I like it. I think we're at Oakbrook returning some shoes for Ellie, I believe." And Jerry's like, "I got one." So we're shuffling around. Lisa says, "Hey, we got this call with Jerry," and I'm like, it's I'm just trying to get stuff done. So we do the tour thing online, and or virtually. And Lisa's like, I liked it. I'm like, I hated that house. It's terrible. I'm like, that is not the house, right?
No.
So we kept going.
There's always one person that loves it and one person
well,
that doesn't
so
love
we hit
it.
this crossroads. We were like, Jerry, let's go back. And I think we saw the house again, and we looked at pictures. We're like, you know what? The area was perfect. It was right by the school we wanted. The schools are like 9s and 10s, which obviously
Mhm.
avoided that, the private schooling cost. There's a preschool a block away. The fire department's across the street. The little public library is like this little paradise of a place. And so we're like, let's look at it again. And so we found some things we didn't like about it, but things we loved about it. We bought the home. We got a referral for a contractor. He's been Johnny on the spot, just fantastic.
Okay.
And we're going down, I'm going down on tomorrow morning, Friday morning.
Is it the first time you're seeing it in person?
No.
Oh, okay.
I want to get into that later too,
Okay.
because that was kind of a neat
I'm like,
experience with the
you bought it months
contractor.
ago, like a couple months ago, right?
So it's been a process. And me and Tim talked about that, Oliver, the last time we spoke. We talked about all the things that are going on in my life. But getting back on track, so we look at it, and we're going down. And you know who's going to meet us there just to say, hey?
Realtor.
Jerry.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? And Jerry is a real estate agent. He's like, how's the remodel going? He's like, I need contractors. And I'm like, well, this contractor's been great. Tim helped us write the contract with the contractor.
Oh, wow.
Contractor's been on point, hasn't missed a day. He's providing us waivers of lien on time. We had a couple, not sure whose fault it was. We had contract or dispute resolution defined in our paperwork. We went through that process twice already. It was a very amicable process. I keep looking at Nick because I feel like you might find this interesting too. But I think that it's just been a great process, and Jerry's been a good partner. And so I think Jerry will be a referral partner of mine down there.
Mhm.
And I think that my contractor might become a contractor referral for that whole real estate
Jerry.
firm.
Yeah.
The whole real estate firm down there, he said.
Okay.
So it's a pretty cool referral you gave me. They did a great job.
And you found the contractor though.
Facebook Marketplace.
You found him on Facebook Marketplace?
Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
But-
Usually I think the realtor would connect you with somebody, but that's
Thus
awesome that
the
you're able
network.
to
Well, that's what I'm
find somebody
saying.
and then have a connection for them back.
That's what I'm saying is that your referral now has grown this contractor into a referral. Now they're going to start working together, and so it pays to
awesome.
have a good network. But thank you for all that.
You're welcome.
What are you like top 5% or something like that? You're telling me
Top 2%.
top 2% in like all of Chicagoland.
Yes.
Was there like 20,000 real estate agents or something?
I looked it up earlier today.
Okay.
There's 16,466 agents.
Not to be exact.
Yep. to be
14,500 agents, and you're in the top 2%.
exact. 16 and a half.
16 and a half.
Yep.
And you're in the top 2%. You've been doing this for a while, but you have not always been in the top 2%.
Right.
So I'm drawn to people that have found success. It's just, it's a desirable quality. How'd you do it?
I would say it was from a coaching program that I was in.
Okay.
So I joined this coaching program, and within 1 year after joining, I tripled my volume.
Tripled it in 1 year.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't want you to give the secret sauce, but can you give me a little bit about, I don't know, your mindset, your commitment? Tell me a little bit about the journey. There's got to be a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah, I would say there's just a lot of accountability, and I never really tracked things in my business. So much more diligent about setting goals every year, setting goals every quarter, and just breaking it down into weekly goals, daily goals. And there's accountability for the number of calls I have to do per day, number of handwritten notes, number of face-to-faces, which are a buyer or seller appointment, and then coffees, right? They call it break bread. So coffee meetings, lunch
coffee,
meetings.
okay.
So I'm tracking all of that every week. And then you track how many leads you're getting from that and how many deals. So basically a listing agreement signed or a buyer under contract. So that's my accountability every week.
Let me bring you back to something real quick. I just wrote down the word accountability. Who are you being held accountable to, or is it accountable to yourself?
Well, when I was in the coaching program, we had to turn in our homework every 2 weeks prior to our coaching call. But now I have someone at the office that holds me accountable. So every Monday I have to text him my previous activities.
Who's him?
activities from he's a business development coach for our company.
Okay. So that's a different person on the coaching. Are these the same people?
Different people.
Different people.
Yeah.
So you knew you wanted to be successful. You knew you wanted to continue to drive your business upwards.
Mm-hmm.
And so you individually or independently went out and sought out this coaching firm.
Right.
And then once you were done with this coaching firm, you had this list of things you had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that relationship or contract or agreement ended, you found a new person inside your office to hold you accountable, at least for you to report to, so you could hold yourself accountable.
Yes. Because after the national coaching ended, I just realized that I wasn't, like, I would have my sheet out, but I wasn't as diligent about it. So I'm like, I need somebody.
What do you mean?
Like, it's there, but I wasn't hitting the goals. Like, I'm like, I need somebody to report to or like follow up with, so that way I make sure I'm doing it.
Yeah, because then you
Doing
feel
the
like you like having to tell them. If you don't tell them, you feel like you let them down.
Yeah, if I'm like 0 notes, 0 whatever, I'm like, oh my gosh.
So what is your weekly report look? What does it normally look like? Is it one appointment a day? Is it one coffee? What'd you call them? Coffee?
Break bread. So it's a coffee or a lunch. So
I thought you said bright earlier. Break bread makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So I had 15 of those last week.
In 1 week?
Yeah.
Are you traveling for all of them?
Some of them are on Zoom, so I count the ones on Zoom as well.
Okay.
Like, people will connect me. So like Tim connected you with me. So I would schedule a one-to-one with you, either in person or Zoom. So I count the ones on Zoom also.
And you drove out here and we did a lunch.
I did, yeah.
I think
the first time we met.
Lunch. Do you owe me a lunch?
I think so.
I think you owe me a lunch. I'm going to take you up on that.
You bought last time, so I owe you before you move.
All right. So you do 15 break breads a week.
I did, yeah.
What else do you want? What else are you looking for in your week?
Well, face-to-faces are the most valuable connection. So
let me dial you back real quick, because I don't want to. I got lost. I don't want any viewers to get lost.
Okay.
When you say break bread, are you trying to break bread with consumers, referral partners, other industry experts, people like? Do you have a target, or is it just other people that you think might just be able to help your business?
Yeah, it's past clients, current clients, and then referral partners.
So this is a very well-defined, highly structured program.
Mm-hmm.
So you had 15 break breads with who again? Current clients?
Past clients, and referral partners. Mm-hmm.
And do you care what percentage each of those make up the 15?
Not really.
Okay, so that's one. You're breaking breads, and then what else do you report on? Give me something else.
Just other face-to-faces. So that could be just a showing or an inspection or things like that. Just any other.
Check inspections even, huh?
Yeah.
How come?
Because it's a face-to-face. So like my inspector has actually referred me business. So that, it's a face-to-face appointment with the inspector and with my client.
Okay. And I guess a lot of agents might not think like the inspector could send me business, right?
Right.
But by you doing faces to faces and staying in touch, you're generating referrals for yourself.
Yep.
So this structure is not an accident. So top 2% wasn't just, I got lucky this year.
Right.
This is a process.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you report on? Tell me.
My handwritten notes.
Yeah. I was waiting for you to go there, because after we met, I went through business owners sometimes do things that are so successful that they just stop doing them. Right. I went through a phase of my career too, where I was writing handwritten notes and asking businesses, right, to quote their business, asking clients for a brief introduction or a quick sit down. And it was working. And it worked so well. I got really busy with these meetings. It worked so well that I just decided to stop doing it.
Okay.
And I think that that's contagious, or I think it's an epidemic. I think that happens. I'm not the only one, if that makes sense, because then you get caught back up in the processing of the paperwork and you feel great about it. You're celebrating it, and then you forget to get back to brass tacks and do it. So you doing this weekly keeps you on task, and it keeps you balanced, probably.
Right. And that's what I think the problem with a lot of realtors is like, especially in the spring market, they get so busy with the activities and the showings and the current clients and the clients that are under contract that they don't track the day-to-day or don't continue to prospect. So that's probably like what you're.
Yeah. When I was, because I mentor some of the newer reps here. And what I learned early as a sales rep is it was feast or famine. Right, you sit down day one and you prospect and you build that database. The next month you start closing all the business. You're so busy you don't prospect, And so a salesperson's income
Yep,
can sometimes
exactly.
be, it's a tough life if you're doing it wrong. And so me and Allison, Allie,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about maybe just carving out times of our week to commit to these things. But you've taken it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
What else you report on? Tell me. So you've got your breaking breads. You've got your face to face. What else you got?
Phone calls.
Okay. How many phone calls do you want to make a week?
I believe I'm supposed to make 75.
Okay. And
I'm usually around 40-ish.
Okay. Okay. What else?
Sometimes I count texts also because not everybody wants a phone call all the time. But any type of like
If you don't, you're silly
outgoing
because
reach out to a client. Or,
communication is broader than a phone call nowadays, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's incredible. So it's not an accident.
Right.
How do you set these meetings? I mean, how do you set face to faces? What's your process?
The week before, I'm supposed to look at it every Friday and just see what I have for the upcoming week. But I've been networking so much, and people are always, we're saying, who do you want to meet? Who do you want to meet? So other people are connecting me. So even earlier today, I had a one-to-one with someone that I met through a BNI networking group, and she was like, oh, I know, this person I want to connect you with, and this person I want to connect you with, and same for her.
It's incredible.
And then I just schedule a one-to-one with them.
So you run your own group. Is that what you call it in your industry?
Yeah.
And you've been running your group now for what, 15 or 16 years?
Well, I've been a realtor for 16 years, but I've been on my own for almost 5.
Okay. Any reason you said, hey, I'm going to go on my own?
Yes. So
I feel a story coming here, Tiffany.
Yeah,
So let's brace
exactly.
it. All right. So tell me how this happened, because this sounds like it's going to be interesting.
So, do you want like the full story of like when I got into the business and the journey through all of that, or just about moving to
I
the
want to
current
hear
company?
exactly what happened at that moment. And how did you get from saying, I'm going to do this for somebody else, I'm going to run my own group? Like, there's got to be a trigger. There's got to be something
Yeah.
that motivates you to say, maybe I want more money. Maybe I want to be own my own time. So I want to hear about that transition.
Yeah, so I was with another company, and I was on a team, top producing team, and was just learning everything I could from her. She was selling about $50 million a year, like 100 clients a year that I would work on all those files with.
As a real estate agent?
Right, as a real estate agent. I took the lead on a lot of our buyer clients because she was very listing heavy.
Okay.
So I would work the clients with her and kind of shadow and see how everything.
So are you going out and visiting homes with them and doing
So like if it was a new client, then all 4 of us would go in the car. So it'd be like the team leader, me, and then the clients and do like the initial first tour. And then from then on, I would take the lead with the buyer, and I would do all the showings, the inspection, closing, everything up until closing.
All right. And you did that for 5 years, or no, 10 years.
Well, 5 years on this specific team, but that was 10 years.
Okay. And then you said, I can run a team?
I was always kind of scared to go out on my own.
Why? It's the same thing you were doing with helping people.
I know, but I feel like it was just scarier. Like you knew that we would always work together, clients together. So it was just a little bit scary to go on my own. But there was a situation that happened that basically made me leave. So.
Oh, you were forced to leave.
Not forced, but
okay. What happened?
The agent that I worked for told me to my face that I would never be successful. She was like stressed out, having a bad day. One of the clients was upset with her, and she told me to my face that in front of our entire team that I would never be successful.
Could we step? I want to understand how this whole thing went down.
Yeah.
Is it so you're at the office? There's how many people are on the team in total?
There's her, our admin, and then 2 other agents and me.
Okay. So there's 5 or 6 people in the room, and this person's having a bad day, and she comes in public forum and says, Tiffany, you're never going to be successful.
Yeah. So she had a client that was coming in from out of state that I took out, and the client basically.
Where were they coming from?
I believe it was Florida. And
we had coming here from Florida?
Yeah, okay. I can't remember the story, but I know we had 2 properties that we were confirmed to see, and the client was upset that there were only 2 places. She's like, "Oh, my this agent knew that I was coming in from out of state, and I can't believe all you have lined up is this. And so then I got back to the office.
Maybe they don't understand the process very well, but so they're upset.
Yeah, so I got back to the office, and she's like, how did it go? And so I just told her, I was like, well, she was like upset because she came in all the way from out of state and was expecting to tour properties, and we only had 2 places to show her. And she just immediately was like, you'll never be successful. You don't know how to connect with older clients. Cause it was, I think she was looking for a second home maybe, or I don't know, lived in Florida, but.
Went to vacation in Chicago?
I don't know.
For the weather?
Maybe.
Maybe just during hurricane season.
I actually had another client that did that recently too. They grew up in Chicago, so they visit all the time because they have family here, but they live in Florida full time. So they're getting a second home in Chicago.
You're doing pretty good. I'm glad you're telling me this. I didn't know any of this. So you're having good levels of success on this team. And I think I know you were in law before this, right? We'll dig into that later. But new industry, you're killing it. You're doing a great job for her. You can't really control the inventory. Maybe things change. I'm certainly not going to question why there's only 2 properties. And then the team leader or the boss or the business owner berates you in front of everybody and belittles you and says you're not going to be successful.
Yep.
Is it the next morning you call this coaching company to say I'm going to become I'm going to be a badass, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I basically left the office crying because I was like devastated because I had been
100%.
trying to do everything. I looked up to her and I tried to do everything I could to like be a role model or be just like her. And for her to say that to me, it was just shocking.
How long you known her? About 5 years, you said?
5 years. I was on the team and just did everything I could, like constantly doing open houses and showings and trying to learn everything.
You done that day?
Well, I knew I was leaving at that point, and I just wanted to figure out like my next move, like where to go. But I knew I could no longer stay there and deal with that.
For like somebody that's leading you to do
right, exactly. Yeah.
We I think how we treat our employees is critical. When I started this business, I stole my mission statement. I did. I spent 11 years with Enterprise Rent-A-Car and Enterprise Fleet Management.
Okay.
It's a great company. It really is. I think the world of them. And I thought that their mission statement embodied what I always wanted to be until this day. I started that job in 1999. When I started this company in 2019, is that 20 years later?
Yes.
20 years later, I almost remember their mission statement verbatim. And I basically regurgitated it onto my own piece of paper and put Philip Simons LA Financial at the top.
Nice.
And as a recovering high school football coach, I could tell you that all the greats at coaching, and I'm not saying I'm great, but the greats at coaching say, I'm going to steal what's working. I'm just going to do it better. And Enterprise's mission statement went as follows. Number 1, you have to take care of your employees first. Number 2, because if you take care of your employees, they're going to help take care of your clients.
Right.
And for those employees, you have to create opportunity and promote from within. And if you do all of those things, growth and profits will follow. And if you do them in that order, growth and profits will follow. They're inevitable. But I think a lot of businesses and small business owners today invert the process. You take care of my clients because we're going to make money. And if you're really good, I'll give you a couple bucks, or I'll be nice to you. Maybe I'll give you some PTO, or maybe I'll give you this work-life balance thing. And so I think being mistreated is the opposite. Going back on what you were saying, mistreating somebody like you is the opposite of what was in her best interest. Wouldn't you agree?
Right.
Do you think she'd like to have somebody in the top 2% on her team right now?
Probably.
Probably. And if she already has a top 2%, you think she'd like another top 2%er?
Probably.
Yeah. So the best form of revenge is success. People say, to have revenge, maybe you'd be mad or be spiteful. Don't be spiteful. Just go out and kill it. And you've done it, which is, you're clearly an awesome real estate agent. I am picky on my professionals that I hire, except for my videographers. except for those guys, I'll hire. It doesn't matter.
Hire someone off the street.
I don't.
Get what you pay for.
You know I don't mean that.
You pay for, right?
You know I don't mean that. So clearly that's good. But I think what's more inspiring to me, I'm drawn to success. you know, I just am. And I was telling Allison a week ago or so, and when we sat down and did this, how she's always at the top of my social media feed. And somehow that signified success to me, you know? And so I just picked up the phone and I called her. And now you came by to me through Tim,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken. And then we went to a Cubs game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty cool event. You know, Bruce was there and a couple other people that have been or will be sitting down with me. But I'm less interested. I am interested in how successful you are. But I'm more interested in who that person is and how you got there, you know, because that's when faced with it's fight or flight, right? When faced with adversity, some people, you know, barrel through it and some people can't. And that doesn't make them better or worse. But for you to overcome something like that and become top 2% is pretty notable. You would think you have some competitive background to you. Do you? Do you have any other competitive?
I never played in sports, but I kind of do because
no, I think you know where I'm going with that.
I knew where he was going with that.
Like, I would hope that. So, Tim told me, and I said, "Yeah, I just talked to Tiffany," and I'm like, "We're going to talk about, you know, some cool stuff she's done." He's like, "Oh yeah, you should talk to her about being a professional pool player." And I'm like, so in our hour of prepping, our year and a half of knowing each other, you being I didn't know that you're a professional pool player.
How did you not know that?
Well, because you don't just randomly guess those things about people.
But you follow me on social media, right?
I do, but LinkedIn, I've never seen anything about pool.
Okay.
What's your handle on LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn, it's just my name, but my logo has like the pool. It has the 8-ball with the skyline in it. Did you ever notice that?
Yes.
Dead giveaway, Phil.
Yes, I did. I didn't. I'm usually.
I don't think you did.
Look. I'm more. Your content is good, so I don't read. So I guess I haven't noticed that. So, how did you become a professional pool player? I played pool in the taverns and in my parents' basement. We did all of that, and it was fun. But it's a different level of commitment to become a professional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, were you good?
So I was on pool leagues. So right before COVID, I was actually on 4 different leagues. Like I played every night during the week. And our team ended up going to Vegas in 2019. And we competed in the World Pool Championship.
Okay.
And it was awesome.
Your team?
Yeah.
I thought pool was more of a one person.
Nope. Team. So there's a team of 8 people.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And how'd you guys do in the tournament? Did you win the whole thing?
No, I can't remember what we placed, but we made it to the money round.
Okay. Did you win any money?
We did.
Okay. Did it at least cover your expenses of Vegas and maybe some beer
covered
drinking money?
All of the expenses.
Not all of it. Okay.
But we didn't make it to the TV round.
Okay. But that's still pretty good.
It's on ESPN. But
how many people aspire to get to your level in the pool world? I mean,
a lot.
A
right?
lot. I don't know. When I think of pool, I think of missing more shots than I make. I think of probably having an ice cold beverage with it, and just enjoying time with friends. But you were different. Mm-hmm. You treated that probably how you treated your career, huh?
Yeah. There was so basically you play in league all season, and then there's a tournament. It's called Citywide, so you compete with everybody in the top. And it was crazy because it was a Saturday in spring market, and the tournament start at like 8 a.m. And I had some new client consultation or showings or something. So I go, and I was there, and they knew I had to leave because I was like, okay. So the captain put me up. He's like, you're up first, you know, because you have to leave. And I just crushed the guy. So it was 9-ball. So did you
run the table?
Well, it's based on the number of balls, and based on my skill level, I needed like 14 balls, and I think he needed like 19.
Okay.
And I think by the time I got my 14, he had less than 5.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to my showings. I'll be back. And then I just left.
So you just mop the floor with this guy, and then you're like, bye, I got to go work and make some money and help some people.
And then I came back, and they had played another round and won. And then I think I played in the 3rd round again. And that one, I believe, was super close. I don't like to know the score because I get even more nervous. So it's just like, you know, my team's watching me and just kind of back and forth. But yeah, the tournament went to like midnight or 1 a.m.
No.
And we were like on the last match,
I'd be
and
asleep by 8:30.
it was very
I'm
nerve-wracking all day, but we won overall, and
That's
it
cool.
was awesome.
All right. Is there any money before you get to Vegas, like in the entry? What would you call these? Like the
No,
entry bracket or whatever?
no.
I think that's pretty cool.
And in Vegas, it was awesome too. You're in
Where'd you play?
the Westgate.
Okay.
So it's just lined with pool tables throughout, and there's tons of people watching. And same thing, like,
Is it nerve-wracking?
yeah, because you're playing like all day and night. So like tell you like same thing. I think one of our matches was like 8 a.m. and then another one was at like 10 p.m. So we were playing super early. And I just remember the one really early.
Do you drink and gamble in between or no?
A little bit. So
You did?
when
You're competing for money and you're cocktailing during the day? Really?
So at that one at 8 a.m. So we're playing, and it was like really tense, like back and forth. And again, like I don't like to know the score. And I just remember being super nervous, and I told my captain, I was like, "Can you give me a shot of tequila?" And he comes over
and it
do a
works.
shot of tequila, and then we just keep playing. And then all of a sudden, my entire team jumps up, and they're like, "Yeah!" And I had won it by 1 ball.
Sabrina brought tequila here. Do you want some of this tequila?
No, thank
Are
you.
you sure?
I actually took a little break from alcohol and haven't drank since the beginning of the year.
It's good.
How much better do you feel?
I feel really good.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, yeah.
The booze is out. I've never been a huge. Let me rephrase that. I have enjoyed booze in the past because I have good friends that will see this that
And
are
they'll
gonna
know that you're lying.
Yeah,
They're
and
like,
if
wait
this
a
is
second, you were drinking last
yeah,
night.
they're gonna say you're not being genuine, and I don't want that to be the case here. I would say in the last 10 or 12 years, I've lost a little bit of the mojo with it. I enjoy it. I'll have a glass of whiskey or I'll have a beer, and I'm not afraid of it. But I just don't enjoy it that much anymore. If I'm sitting by, I don't need to have one on the couch or 2 or 3. I'll enjoy it, but I don't need to anymore. And I think the less you do it, the more you forget to have one at the end of the day.
I think the older you get too, it like really affects you. Like one drink and you're just like, oh my gosh, I have a headache, or you didn't get a good enough
That doesn't bother me. I don't work very
No.
hard anyway, so I'll just sleep in and not work very hard.
You didn't get a good enough sleep, and then you just feel tired all day, and then eating junk food and
Yeah, no, I get
missing
it.
the gym. It's just like a cycle. I'm like, I just need to cut this out.
Well, I think it's good. I finally got back in the gym. I feel a little bit better.
Yeah? What are you
I think
doing?
it's balance.
Kickboxing?
So we talk about this a little bit on every podcast.
Are we gonna box?
So
Should we put these
we're
on?
not going to box.
No.
I've been hit in the face quite a bit recently, and it is not fun.
Oh my god.
And I respect the people more now than ever. But it just started out with New Year's Eve 2 years ago. So whatever year that was, 2022. It was maybe a week before, and Lisa said, "Why don't you quit chewing, the tobacco thing?" And I probably very passively said, "Yeah, sure, I could do that." On New Year's morning, we were going out to breakfast with Tim Oliver and his wife, like a brunch. And I went to grab my Kodiak, and Lisa goes, "I thought you were quitting."
I was just trying to Irish goodbye.
And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I guess. You know what I mean?
She could tell you were still chewing.
Well, it was that morning. It was the next. So I quit the night before. Like it was New Year's night to New Year's morning or New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So it was like, this is the last one, Lisa. And then the next morning I go to grab it, and she's like, "I thought you were quitting."
Okay.
And I wasn't mentally prepared. There was no ramp up, no anticipation. It was just, and I'm like, crap, So I went out to breakfast. I had a couple Bloody Marys, and I don't drink that much anymore. So I really wanted a Kodiak. And driving home, I said, "Hey, Lisa, can you stop by the gas station?" And she said, "How come?" I'm like, "I want a Gatorade." I said, "I want a red Gatorade." And she's like, "Is that really what you want?" And I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "Phil, tell me the truth." I'm like, "I'm buying cigarettes. I'm buying cigars. I'm buying chew. I'm buying vape pens. Just get me this, So my vision was blurring, but literally I was in pain. It physically hurt. And Lisa was super cool. She's like, "Can you give it 20 minutes?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go 20 minutes. And then we waited 20 minutes and 20 minutes again and 20 minutes again. And before I got through the day, and literally by the next morning, all those urges were gone.
Okay.
And so I'm like, crap, man, I just cleared this thing, And so I got through a whole day. And once you get through the day, I figured, okay, talking about your discipline or this discipline, right? And so the next day, I'm like, hey, why don't I just get back in the gym again? I did some college sports, and just started lifting again. Then I started powerlifting, and I started doing all the deadlift stuff and Olympic lifts. And then this year, I'm like, I'm gonna lose weight, so I went through a weight cut program. So I'm on a deficit. I'm down 20 whatever pounds. I'm
That's
down.
awesome.
And then I thought, I always want to fight. Meaning, I never wanted to be a boxer because I knew that I probably wasn't cut from that cloth. I'm just not that athletic and that skilled. But growing up, Mike Tyson was the deal. He was Kid Dynamite. It was, I did 1,000. We just, hail Mike Tyson and the Rocky movies as a kid, right? You had cable when it was brand new, and the movie that was on was Rocky 3. And so I thought, well, I'm 49. You probably have a small window, and if it's something you always wanted to do it. And so now I've been boxing, and
That's awesome.
I'm not
It's
awesome.
probably a good workout, right?
So you could squat 400 pounds, which I don't, but that and boxing for 20 minutes are different things on your legs.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to Tim about this, but the guy training me is the national Muay Thai, no padded, they don't wear the padding champion.
Oh my gosh.
And so this is a guy training me in his garage. It's been a journey. And so I don't think it's that different than what I'm trying to point out about you. It's it took a lot of discipline to get to the top 2%. Success is rarely an accident.
Mm-hmm.
I read a memes are pretty. There's some good ones out there, by the way, right? I saw a meme that said success is never owned; it's rented, and the rent is due every day.
That's a good one.
I think it is, and I think that I try to put myself in the right mindset every morning. And my business is transitioning. We've talked about this. I'm opening up my own firm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have actual book ownership. We've got some wonderful referral partners. We're going to talk about that off air, maybe a little bit. So some super exciting things. I'm really going to part with country in the best terms.
Do they know about it yet?
No,
no.
They'll
see it
but we're not going
soon.
to air this. It's going to be coming pretty
they
soon.
Find out through the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wait, what did he just say?
Well, we control this, but I assure you that if anything happens in a negative way, it will be a frivolous lawsuit because I haven't taken the client list. I'm not going to. I have an on-solicit. I'm not going to solicit them. The 2 or 3 referral partners that we have that I'm partnering with are in the lending industry.
Okay.
And so I don't have a need to abandon my relationship with my current employer because I happen to love the people I work for. I told Tim this. There will be some tears when I leave, and they'll be genuine. And my boss's boss is one of the most incredible leaders too.
I'll never told you that you won't be successful.
No, the opposite.
Okay.
This company I work for now is loaded with amazing people. Just sometimes it's just not a fit any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not a fit because of anything they did. It's just not a fit because of where we are in our lives or where they are and what I need in my life. And so I went down that tangent because I try to, even when I was running this, and I'm still running it full gear. Like we wrote business today. I literally wrote business today. And so the other thing my company's not going to be able to say is Phil didn't work for 3 months before he left. I'm going to, and the guy I just signed up today is a good friend. I'm not delaying that business until I go to my new place and stealing it from my company. I'm not going to do that because I believe that when we cross paths again, whether it be in a bar or casually or in a better place, I think me and the people I work for and with today should have a great relationship, and we should be able to hug and shake hands because we all did it right. So that's very important to me. But I think where I was trying to go, I go on these tangents that Nick warned me not to do. Sometimes you got to let it go. I try to start my day with a very positive note, but I need to steal some of what you're doing because I still live a little bit of the successful, not successful, the prospecting, the not prospecting. I visit my centers of influence. I don't. I do time block, and I'm better than most. But you sound like you're at a different level. I want you to dig deeper about what mindset it took you to get here. Was it just this boss that pissed you off and insulted you? Or was it determination that I'm going to be a champion? Like, what was it?
Maybe a combination of both.
I need to hear about it, though. Tell me.
And, well, like, it's crazy because, like, I grew up shy and, like, it's really hard for me. Like, I always thought, like, sales, like, you have to be so, like, salesy and all that. But it's really just building a relationship with somebody and having them trust you. And, you know, they're trusting me with the largest purchase of their life. And so that's really what it is. But so when I first joined this coaching program, they're like, okay, you're going to do this and you're going to call your past clients and you're going to do this. And every time, like, you're going to be on video. And like every time I'm like, oh my God, I could never do that. I could never do that. I could never do that. And then just from like going through it, I just started implementing all these things that I never thought I could do.
Pause real quick. Because you've got a lot more. I could see it. Do you try to implement everything at once or do you do it incrementally?
It was over time. So I was in the coaching program for
I didn't ask the question at all. Can I interrupt you politely real quick?
Yes.
Because I want clarity because I think we all want to know. I watched another video. We talked about this, about if you can improve yourself by 1% across multiple areas of your business or your life, the sum of those 1% incremental improvements is going to be a pretty big difference at the end of the year or the quarter or whatever it might be. So when you say I'm doing 15 breaking breads, I'm doing 45 or 70 phone calls, did you go from doing nothing to all in? Or did you start with maybe 5 of these meetings or maybe 10 of these calls? Or how do you get yourself to the I'm boxing. I can't box 5 rounds right now. I'm not even close to being ready. I can box 19 seconds and poorly. So how do you get to 0 to 1,000,000 miles an hour where you're at right now?
So there were different levels. So level 1 of coaching, level 2, and level 3.
Okay.
So when I started out in level 1, I can't remember how many, but it was much smaller. It was maybe like 50 calls a week or 40 calls.
Okay.
So it increased every time I went up a level in the coaching.
How do you level up?
Yep.
No, how?
How?
Yeah, like what determines are you at level 1 or level 2?
I think it's based on like your numbers.
Like actual production numbers?
Yeah.
I got into in managing my team and managing myself. I got more into lead indicators. I don't know if you guys talk about those in your industry, but for a little bit, I was less concerned about how many IRAs I opened or how many dollars I rolled over, and more concerned with, well, did I make 8 phone calls today? And if I made 8, 8's not the number, but I started tracking the activities that would lead to the result and stop tracking the result. And by then, the result was what we call a lag indicator. So I knew eventually, I had a formula at one point. Again, it worked so well that I forgot it, that I stopped doing it. But I knew at one point in time, if I sat down on Tuesday morning and made 40 phone calls to commercial companies to see if I could quote their workers' compensation insurance, I knew I would talk to 5 people, and of those 5, I would quote 3, and of those 3 that I'd quote, I'd win 1. So I was able to reverse engineer my income. I knew exactly if I wanted to make $100,000 or $90,000 or $200,000 that year, it wasn't a matter of if. It was a matter of, am I willing to do the things that lead to that number? Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you?
That was all something that we talked about too in the coaching, was focus on the activities, because you can't really control the outcome. Like you said, you can't control like how many referrals your past clients are giving you or where the leads are coming from. But as long as you're doing the activities, you'll stay top of mind.
But yet you seem to be controlling those things.
Kind of with the activities, because, you know, if you're calling the past clients, then you're top of mind. And then if they're at a party and their friend says, oh, I'm looking to buy a place in Chicago, then hopefully they'll think of me.
It's interesting. It's good stuff. Where'd you go to college at?
SIU Carbondale.
Oh, mercy. My cousins went to SIU.
Really?
Yeah. When I was in college, I wasn't allowed to go visit them.
You were or weren't?
No, I wasn't. But I'm kind of kidding. They were a little bit older than me, and my dad would have never said that, nor would my mom have. But
because it was a party school?
I've heard that. Is that true?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. You didn't
I think
though.
the years prior ruined it for us, because there used to be like this big Halloween party or something like that.
I've heard of that Halloween party from my cousin Wayne.
When I was there, Halloween was shut down because
It was flat out shut down.
Because I think they would like burn police cars. Like there was like riots and just like crazy things.
So then you didn't leave the leave. You didn't live the life of an SIU student that I had heard about.
A little bit. I would say it was probably
you were at the tail end though. You were at the
more.
mile. It was way toned down.
I think so. But I mean, I still partied a lot and I got all A's and B's.
Really?
And graduated on time.
That's
so
pretty
very
cool.
Proud of that.
What's the SIU mascot?
It's Saluki.
Yeah, I knew that.
It's an Egyptian hunting dog, running dog,
so
hunting
dog.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty good mascot, right? Are there worse mascots? No, I think it's a good mascot.
Do you know what my high school mascot is?
No, how would I know? I don't even.
It's a pretzel. It's a pretzel. Freeport pretzels.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. You think I'm joking?
Kind of.
Google it. Google it.
No, I don't want to. Nick, will you?
Nick, Google it.
Can you prove it for real?
Yeah, let's see. Fremont?
Freeport.
So somebody opened up.
Freeport, Illinois.
Does it at least have a mean face on the pretzel for like the athletics?
I think so. I feel like we need to show him on screen.
Are you sure? Well, is there a reason to that?
There's like a pretzel factory.
Why? The first thing is, why is Freeport High School the pretzels?
All right.
Yeah, it's the pretzel city.
Oh, that's terrible.
In a 1985 article, the Daily Democrat first referred to
That's
Freeport as the
unfortunate.
pretzel city.
The pretzel city, huh? Freeport.
It seemed that there were many German bakeries in the city, and according to tradition, family enterprise established in 1881.
I guess it's fair. I shouldn't have said it's terrible. That's not very nice of me. It makes you're representing your community, but when I think of a sports mascot, though, it's something intimidating, right?
A pretzel's not very intimidating, is it?
I don't think so.
Did you guys have like an actual like mascot,
Yeah.
like one with?
Yeah, I wonder if you can find.
Do they run around with the?
Oh
yeah, that's him.
Costume. Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, it looks pretty
The
intimidating.
one that looks like a knot or like a pretzel stick? Because if it was a pretzel log running around,
yes,
that's not
hilarious.
at all.
The one on the left.
I don't know.
The visiting team's like, what the heck is this?
So, what'd you go to school for? What'd you study in college?
Paralegal studies.
Yeah, I knew that though, but I wanted
that?
to hear about this. Well, we talked about it a little bit the other day.
I think so.
So, where were you working at? Were you ever working at a law firm?
I was, yeah.
Which one? Are they? I guess you shouldn't say it, but
I've worked at a couple. So
Okay.
I went to school for paralegal studies, and then I moved to Florida right after college. Like I always wanted to live somewhere warm, and so I worked for an insurance defense firm, and then ended up moving back to Chicago.
I should probably know this. What's insurance defense?
So
Do you
basically,
work for the insurance company defending themselves against lawsuits?
Yeah.
Probably for not paying claims.
I believe it was
Probably.
auto accidents or
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, but keep going.
So yeah, and then when I moved to Chicago, I worked for a real estate attorney, and I was doing everything from contract to close. And honestly, it was like the most boring thing because it was just changing all the different forms with people's names, like change the deed with this person's name for this closing, change the deed with this person's name, and
You weren't doing the fun part of law. You were doing paperwork.
right. Like I always thought it would be like exciting, like courthouse, like preparing for trial.
You mean like TV shows and stuff, Law and Order? Is that
Yeah.
what you're thinking?
So initially, I was in community college before I went to SIU, and my major was business.
Okay.
And I did terrible in accounting. I did terrible in economics, but the business law, I got like 100%. Like I aced everything.
We'll find your niche, right?
And then I was like, okay, I need to look into this. So then I realized that Carbondale had a program for a bachelor's degree for paralegal studies.
Okay.
And our courses were taught by professors, and they always said like work in the field first and make sure that you like it before you like spend the money and go on to law school. And that was like the best advice. Like I was glad I was listening that day because that was like the best advice they could give.
So you're working at this law firm. You decide you don't like it, and so you say, I'm gonna go work in real estate.
Well, so in the course, I had like bankruptcy law, family law, like all the different types of law except for real estate. And so I just wanted to learn more about the real estate process. So I saw that Chicago Association of Realtors had their licensing course.
Okay.
So I signed up for that, and then I was working full time and doing the course in the evening twice a week after work. And then January of 2008, right before the crash, the firm downsized and let go of a few people,
And you were one of
and I
them.
was one of them.
But now you've got your real estate license.
Right.
And you say, I'm going to go take ownership over my career, my life, everything.
Yeah.
And you jump in.
Well, at first I like kept looking for paralegal jobs, and I was getting frustrated because I wasn't having any luck. And then I was like, okay, I'm going into real estate. It was like 2008, right before the crash. And I worked in bars and restaurants for a while, bartending on the side, serving. But yeah, I mean, because you're building a business and starting everything up from.
Look, a go-getter like you is going to figure it out. But
Mhm.
necessity is the mother of invention, right? Isn't that the
Mhm.
saying? So you
Mhm.
couldn't get a job as a paralegal. You didn't love it
Mhm.
anyways. And boom,
Mhm.
you're in real estate.
Mhm.
Pretty serendipitous that you were taking that licensing class to better your
Right.
paralegal career. And it
Yeah.
turns out being your career until some buffoon says you're never going to be successful. And here you are at the top 2% of 16,500 realtors in Illinois.
Mhm.
Your industry is pretty transient, and that's not good or bad. It's just, it is what it is. There's turnover and change, and it seems to change with market volatility. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think like 2000, like once the rates went down in 2020, a lot of people get in because they think it looks so easy. But now that we've gone through some challenges with the interest rates going up a couple of years ago, and now there's this new NAR commission lawsuit,
We're
and
going to dig into that in a second.
our licensing, we have to renew our license every 2 years, and so that's up April 30th of this year. So I think that number that I said, 16,477, it'll be interesting to see what that number is on beginning of May.
Think it's going down?
I think so.
So what are you doing to not be one of those people that just fall out of real estate?
I think just continuing what I'm doing every day, like continuing the activities and staying in touch with clients. Like I just did a client appreciation event a couple weeks ago, and
Discipline.
mhm,
It's pretty cool. Yeah,
mhm.
success is never an accident. I guess it could be, right? There's times where, right, you get dealt pocket
People like their
aces.
family like knows people where they just get handed like
But
million
even
dollar
then, those are
listings.
usually, even then though, those things usually, come on fast and die pretty soon too. So this is a pretty good mainstay for you. Do
Mhm.
you how big is your team now? So you left the other team. Now you had your own team. How many
Mhm.
people on your team now?
So it's me, and then I have a full-time assistant, and I'm looking to hire another agent to help.
Okay. What are you looking for?
Just like another showing agent, like someone that's
No, I mean skill sets, qualities, personality type. Like, what do you want on your team?
probably someone that's like just like me that wants to learn from me and like has the drive. And our business is mostly nights and weekends, so I don't want somebody that says I can never work like on the nights or weekends.
Fair, fair.
So
Yeah, you got to be willing to roll up your sleeves in the industries we serve. It can be difficult, but we're always on call.
mhm.
Tim was just here talking about companies and businesses that might want to have an exit strategy, right? I grow my business to this, and this is how and when we're going to sell, and this is the process. And he talked about one of the things that owners need to learn how to do is detach a little bit from the phones, from their client, not from the
Mhm.
clients. One of the mistakes that I made, when I say mistake, it was also one of the reasons I was successful. All my clients had my cell phone number. Okay. And which is great. On Father's Day, my
No.
phone, it buzzes till 2 o'clock, and on Thanksgiving the same. And I'm usually even instigating a lot of those conversations on special events with clients having your cell phone.
Mhm.
But what does happen though is you do start to sacrifice a little bit of your family time and your personal life. It doesn't have to be family life, just your personal life, that balance.
Mhm.
And so to be tethered to your cell phone does two things, at least for me. One, it never allowed me time to charge the battery. And I've learned that the harder I work and the more I put the output that I generate, the work, right, the structure, the regiments, the personal, you need to charge the battery. You
Mhm.
have to be able to do that so that you can continue to be at your best. And what I found is that prevented that because on Sunday morning you got 6 texts while you're sleeping, and on Saturday afternoon during whatever you're doing with your family or watching a high school football game or whatever it might be, the phone is going off. And then what would happen is you tell them you'll get back to them on Monday when you're back in the office, but now you get tied into your the email, the voicemails on your main line. You've got your emails, and now this text message that you got on Saturday at 2 o'clock, if you didn't put it in your calendar, which happens when you're at a pumpkin patch with your family, it doesn't always make your calendar. And so I had to stop giving clients my cell phone. It's not because I don't love them, and it's not because I don't want them to have it, because I really want them to. The problem is they were no longer getting my best me because there's too many channels of input coming in that I couldn't manage all those different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so how I got on this tangent, I'm not sure. But I do know that what's important to me is balance and having a discipline to do things in a structured format.
You're talking to the wrong person, because I'm sure you have no balance, no format, no nothing.
I didn't. So that's the whole
Well,
thing too with the the coaching that I was in. It's all about like having a work-life balance. And so I was able to put my phone in. So my phone goes into do not disturb every day at 8 o'clock. And then there's also other times where I set up focus. So that way the messages don't come through.
So those
But
are two things I'm not aware of. Is that on an iPhone you could do that?
yeah.
Will
don't
you
have an
teach?
iPhone?
I
You
do have
do.
an iPhone, but will
Yeah,
you
I can
teach
show
me how
you.
to?
Yeah.
Not the second, but I do want you to teach me how to do that,
Okay.
though. That sounds like it might.
'Cause
Do your
there's
clients know when you're, what is it called?
It's
At
do
focus?
not disturb.
Okay.
It's like a focus time. You can set up like a driving, a do not disturb, like several
Do they
different.
know, though, that I didn't get the message?
I think it says that delivered quietly, but clients would text at midnight. I've had clients text at 2 a.m. Hey,
Yeah.
can we see this place tomorrow? I've had clients text at 6 a.m. and I would keep the phone right next to my head and I would constantly wake up when it would vibrate. And so
I'm in
I'm
the same
just
spot.
like, I have to do something. I either have to leave my phone in the other room or I have to put my phone in focus time. There's a
Finding
little,
balance is important, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, because like you said, you can't be your best self. Like I noticed every spring market, I felt like I wouldn't take care of myself and I'd constantly be running around and not taking a day off. And you just realize that you're not your best when
Yeah, and
you're
it's
that way.
probably not mentally healthy or even physically healthy. It probably takes a toll on you
Well,
as
yeah.
well,
I
too.
mean, I've never been able to live the life where you got to call the office to get a hold of somebody. I've always been, you got the cell phone, you better answer the phone.
Right.
Well, that's how I built my business and the relationships that I have. But it's also, look, a very great leader in my past at Enterprise Rental Car. His name was Brian Baker. I've got no problem saying that. One of the best regional vice presidents that's ever lived, I think. He was a great leader. But one day he was observing my office and he said very simply to me, Phil, he wasn't criticizing me. He's like, Phil, what you're doing for great customer service today will be the same cause of poor customer service tomorrow. I don't remember the exact scenario that he said it, but the way I apply it to my life is today, if people expect you to answer on the first ring or respond within 5 minutes and have it handled right away, because you're not busy when you're first getting started, when you get a large book and you've got a lot of clients, you can't always get to that. Well, now they think you're ignoring them. Now they think you're providing bad service. So, look, clients will ultimately, if they really need it, get my cell phone number. I just have to let them know in advance that it's not a lack of love or passion or caring for them. It's just they need to understand that sometimes it's still going to be best to call the landline where I've got staff retrieving voicemails, send an email. Like I set up a whole separate email inbox.
I think most people get that and understand that, but you as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, are like, oh my God, I got to get back to this person right now.
Well,
Because you want to provide that.
I think you're right, but I think it comes down to transparency and communication. So I think I do a better job now of saying the expectation that I'm going to be good, but if you need something now, in fact, me and Tim talked about it. I have a process with clients now to ensure a good client experience. Back in the day, you wrote the business, you figured, hey, if they call me and I'm Johnny on the spot, I can handle it. But I've learned as my business scales, as I'm scaling this new business down the road, you have to be committed to your own systems. And so I onboard a client today and it's, well, let's educate first and foremost. Let's teach them what they're buying. You mentioned earlier, it's their biggest expense. And if something happens, you have to be able to say, yes, you're going to be okay. I told Tim this before. every client's going to ask me 2 questions. One, how much is this crap? Nobody likes spending money for insurance, right? When you got an insurance policy from your current agent, you didn't drive to your friend's house and said, hey, look at this awesome auto policy. I am so proud of it. This is the best money I've ever spent. Nobody thinks that. But when something happens and they're going to call me and say, hey, Phil, am I going to be okay? Or am I screwed? That's usually after they've rented somebody. That's happened. I had a client in Wayne, Illinois, whose house exploded. Half the house blew up. There was a gas line backup. They were all home and they all lived. But it's at that moment where you have to comfortably say, you're going to be okay. And if you have to say no, you have to be able to explain you chose this and give them options. So going back to my processes, you have to explain to clients what they're buying. In fact, I'm meeting with Joanna next week. We can't say her last name here, a client that you sent over. It's going to be her 1-year review.
Okay.
It's part of a process of making sure that their policies are staying updated with their lives. But it's also making sure that there's no hiccups in the road. When you work for a big company, as I do, and you're representing other carriers in the insurance world, which I will be, there are potential hiccups. Did the signature pages hit their destination when you faxed it or emailed it? Did the billing go through? Did the credit card bounce the payment? Because if you don't have a system of following up, the agent rarely finds out, but the client gets a letter saying your policy is being terminated because your agent didn't do this. And that's a pretty lousy first 30-day experience when they pick a new advisor. Pretty terrible, right? And so you have to have systems in place so I think make sure it's a smooth process. But I think that's part of being in the service industry and our commitment to people having our cell phones. Do you agree to that or no?
Yeah, agree.
So it's just a matter of being able to illustrate and tell clients when they can call you, what they can expect, and then creating new channels for them. Again, without being a technology guru, I'm pretty bad at email. Because I get in and there's, again, voicemails, things happen that are reactive in our business. And then I've got meetings. If I'm not in meetings, we just talked about this. If you're not in meetings doing things, you're not in business anymore. And so the email that is coming in is usually something that you get to at the end of the day. And so I've taken alternative steps. We set up a group email for like a team email. I think we call it like a general email inbox. Just little steps to put layers of service between you and your clients. So what else are you, I got off topic a little bit. I want to stay with some of the things that you're doing though. So what does your normal day look like?
Well, every day is different. So today I had photo shoot for a new listing.
Okay.
And then I had a like 1-to-1, like a networking.
Okay.
It's an hour. And then I have clients moving here from Ohio.
Okay.
So I did a couple FaceTime tours with them.
Okay.
And then I came out here for the video content.
And then tonight, anything?
Probably just catching up on all the emails. When my assistant, it's great because she knows like when I have a busy day like today, she's constantly, logged into my email. So she's able to see what's coming in. If there's things that are urgent, she'll address it.
Amazing. And you're with Fulton Grace, right? Okay. And if somebody's interested in joining your team, how do they reach out to you? You said you're
Contact me.
growing. Yeah. But how?
Yeah.
Is it email? Do they want you to call the office? What's the best way? Do
I
they
think
send you a resume?
Either call me directly or email me.
Okay. And they'll be able to get that information from this link.
Okay.
So what's this? What is what'd you call it? The NAR?
The NAR commission lawsuit.
What does that stand? What does NAR stand for?
National Association of Realtors.
Okay. What is this lawsuit? I think I know what it is, but tell me.
So, basically, a seller was saying that it wasn't transparent on the buyer's agent receiving the commission because the seller pays a certain amount of commission to their agent and then their agent pays a portion to the buyer's agent.
So the sellers usually cover 100% of the real estate commissions.
Correct. And it's always been negotiable, but they were saying that it's fixed commission or that there were certain companies that were not showing properties that were like you could search in their search criteria like you could a bed and bath. You could search by the commission, and so some people were saying these are the only properties that are available.
Interesting. So what's the result of this lawsuit?
So it's not.
Are buyers going to start paying commissions now?
Well, it's not finalized until July. It's just a proposed settlement. But now buyer agency agreements will be required before they weren't required. Like when it's a listing agreement, there's always a handwritten agreement.
I
Every
don't.
yeah,
No, tell me more
everybody
about that.
has.
I don't understand that. Tell me.
So when you represent a seller, there's always a listing agreement.
Okay.
So there's a formal written agreement. It's just like the same for attorneys and every other profession. There's like an engagement letter where you
Okay.
know that you're working together and this is what it's expected and this is what the fee is. With the buyer's agent, there's a form, but it wasn't always mandatory to have it
Oh,
signed.
okay.
And so now I believe those agreements will be required and there will be whatever you agree with your buyer that this is my fee. And then if the buyer wants to see 5 properties, let's say 3 of them are paying the full amount of what you would typically receive. Again, there's no set commissions.
So this is a good law. This is good for the consumer, is it not?
There's another one that's paying like less. Then I would go to my buyer and say, this property is not paying me, what we had agreed upon. So either you'll have to pay the difference or we'll try to negotiate that in with our offer. So basically, I think that's, again, it's not going to
So this is good legislation then, don't you think? Or do you
Yeah,
not?
but I
Do you
think
not
if like the
it?
buyer has to pay a portion of it, it's hard enough for a buyer to come up with their down payment. So if they're having to pay their agent, but I believe they're able to roll it in as like through their loan as like
Okay.
a
So you
closing
you
cost.
could borrow the real estate commission that you have to pay as a buyer.
Right.
You can
So
borrow that.
yeah, so to be as like a closing cost, like added on your loan, so they're not paying out of pocket for it.
So the bank is so it's going to take 360 terms in most cases for them to pay off that 1 or 2% that they're
I
taking
think so. There's
responsibility
still
for.
like a
Okay.
lot of unknowns with
Do
it,
you think
but
by any chance that relieving some of the fee drag for sellers could that stimulate more inventory hitting the market?
mm,
Do you think sellers are now going to say, "Hey, man, we're saving $14,000 because now the buyer's got to flip part of that bill. Let's go ahead and list the house. We're no longer fearful of all the fees that are associated," or do you think that's a non-issue?
I think it's a non-issue. I think the sellers more it's about the interest rate. Like they're not able to, or they know they can sell really fast, but they're not able to find the next place to purchase just because there's very limited inventory.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, tell me about this place in Michigan you have, and am I invited ever to come up?
Yes.
So talk to me about it. Where is this?
So I have a second home in South Haven, Michigan.
Okay.
It's a beach town, like 2 hours away from Chicago.
Yeah.
I was just up there with the client that you worked together. Like she bought a place with me.
Joanna?
Yeah, my past client. So listen to this story.
You went to her birthday too, did you not?
I did.
I want Joanna to.
My past client was at the bar and Johanna was there and Johanna was complaining about like looking for a place in Chicago and wasn't happy with the realtor she was working with, and my past client overheard her and was like, "Hey, you got to call Tiffany." And so we exchanged info. And it was crazy because I reached out a couple times. I left a voicemail. I think I had her email too. So I sent her an email. She wasn't responding. So I did a video text. This is something I learned in the coaching program. So I just did a short little video. I was like, "Hi, Johanna. I'm so glad that Tina connected us. I can't wait to discuss your home search and help through the process." And then after that, she was just like, "I saw the video and I just felt comfortable. I felt like you cared and I just really wanted to work with you." So she finally responded to me after reaching out for a while. And anyway, she became a really good friend of mine. She invited me to her birthday and she was just at my place in Michigan with me and one other friend. And people are so shocked. Just like the handwritten note, people are like, "Oh my
I
God."
can't be that dating myself. If people are so
A
shocked, like, I can't be
personalized-
that dated.
Here, I'll do one right now.
She's saying like, yeah, we do the personalized notes too.
You do? So you'll watch a video. If I got
Hey,
a video,
Phil, it's awesome videoing with you today.
my phone's in the other room, but I'll see it later.
Boom, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But so here's the problem. But if it's coming from a strange phone number, I guess not because they've been but they might not have programmed you yet. I don't know if I'd watch a video from an unknown number.
Really?
Well, if I got a
If you
text
see-
from a
you'll see
random
my
phone number,
face.
oh, I will. Okay.
Right? You'll see the little
Okay.
clip with the person's
Right.
face, and you're just like, "What is
All right.
this?"
Well, you better have a better face than me then, because you gotta.
So you got 3 cameras pointed at you right now.
Yeah, well, that's a problem. Well, I like it.
So yeah, I Airbnb it. It's always on Airbnb and VRBO, and then it mostly books through the summer. It's a beach town, and then when it's not booked, I'll go up there with friends and family.
No, I know that area
My
well.
parents love going up there.
I believe it. It's a great area. It's a great Lake Michigan is a very different looking lake than it is
I
along.
know.
Yeah.
In Chicago, I've been in Chicago 16 years, and I think I've seen the sunrise twice.
Yeah.
Or like I rarely go to the beach, but when I'm in South Haven, like every day, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go see the sunset and go to the beach.
And Lake Michigan it looks like ice, right? It's just crystal clear and smooth.
It does.
Yeah. It's gorgeous up there. All right, man. Well, or Tiffany, I should say. You're not man.
Man.
But I think today was great. I think we learned a lot about you.
And then just like being on video, like I never thought I would do that. And the first video I ever did was like me like sitting here like this, and you could tell I was reading it. It's like so stiff and like scripted. So hopefully this is like more exciting for people to watch.
Well, I don't know. I think the point that we want to get across is, I've said it to you maybe not 1,000. I've said it to you multiple times. There's 16,500 real estate agents in the greater Chicagoland area. It might go down after the new continuing education requirements that you talked about. But I think what's inspiring to people are success stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you are a success story. And at least myself, I'm drawn to success, right? There's something that is inspirational about success. There's something that's motivating about success. There's something where you want to learn from the person who's successful. And I think my dad once said it to me a long time ago. Be the dumbest person in the smartest room in life, and you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think people know you're great. They also know you're driven. They know your success story. But I think they know a little bit about your personality and who they're going to be partnering with too. And with all those agents, it's easy to pick. I guess it's not easy to pick a top 2%, right? But of the top 2%, who's the person that they want to work with? Who's the person that they trust?
And I think just knowing that that I have professionals and a team, like people I trust, like my insurance agent that I trust.
Who's that?
That would be you.
Okay.
Of course, that'd be you.
Okay. What else you got
my
on your team?
My inspector, my real estate attorney, my lender. I have a team, and we all work together really well.
Yeah, me and Tim talked about that too, about all of your team members being able to coordinate, because collaboration in today's day and age with your team professionals, it's bringing you on. They're not just hiring you, they're not just buying a home through you, right? They're hiring you to be their professional staff. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important that you've got a good team around you. I think it's great. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate taking the drive. Have a good night. And you don't care about the Bears draft tonight, do you?
Not really. I didn't even know what was going on.
Fair. All right.
I do like sports, but I did not know.
I understand. It's being a pretzel in your high school years. That's why. All right. Thanks, Tiffany.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.